morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. We're doing chores this morning, or I'm doing chores this morning. Dad's gonna go down the creek and set up some bales for the cow because we've got a winter storm coming here. Well, it's supposed to hit this afternoon and go all the way through Tuesday night. So we got to do some stuff, get ready for that, and so yeah, come along with us. So according to the weather deal, we're supposed to get like over a foot of snow, at least 10 inches of snow tonight and tomorrow. So Dad's gonna go set out more bales for the cows, and then we're gonna feed calves this morning, and then this afternoon we might move the calves around a little bit just so they got a little more cover. But for now, we're just gonna feed them where they're at and let them eat. Man, it didn't freeze last night, and it is just mud everywhere from that snow that we got last week. Had a question on our last video commented that asked us, how do we know how much to feed the calves, and will they just eat anything and everything available to them? So simple question for that is they're not going to eat everything available to them, and how we know how to feed how much our cattle is, cattle they'll eat roughly 3% of their body weight in a day. So that gives us a pretty good base point, starting point, as to, you know, how much we think we should feed them. So we'll estimate their weight, and then we'll figure out how many scoops of hay that is, and then that's how we know how many scoops to give each pen of cattle, depending on how many head is in a pen. And you know, that 3%, that'll vary based on a lot of things, based on, you know, the weather. If it's colder, they're gonna eat more. If it's a little warmer, they might not eat as much. Same goes for like water. If it's colder, they're not gonna drink as much water. If it's hotter, they're gonna drink a lot more water. So yeah, that gives us a pretty good base point. And then also another thing that factors into that is like that north pen of cattle, where we're feeding them like 12 buckets of grain right now. We're actually feeding them less hay than we were earlier this winter because they weren't getting as much grain. So now they're getting more grain than they were earlier this winter. So we figure they're probably getting 5 pounds, or right around that 5 pounds a head of grain is what that north pen of cattle's getting. So we're feeding them a little less scoops of hay just because they're getting a lot more of their weight and their protein in that grain to get them full. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and those are just a couple of the things. So I thought that was a pretty good question, and I thought, you know, it'd be, you know, maybe more people would have that question. So thought I'd answer it on this video here. So yeah, that's how we know how much to feed our cattle. So yeah, I was gonna mention how that changes a little bit too. It'll be, you know, one day we might feed them like 6 scoops of hay, and then the next day we'll only feed them like 5.5. So we'll watch. That 3% just kind of gives us a starting point, like I was talking about, and then after that we'll just kind of watch. We'll see if they finish all their hay in the day, or if they've got some left. If they got some left, then we'll feed them a little bit less the next day. If they finish it all and the bunks are clean, then we'll feed them more the next day. So it fluctuates over the winter, and it kind of depends. As the cattle grow and put on weight, you know, we're gonna feed them more. And you know, if we buy a bunch of cattle and they're smaller cattle, they're gonna get fed less. So it all just kind of depends. But yeah, we'll watch that. And the way I guess, you know, Dad and I, when we feed, we'll just say, you know, if Dad's been feeding for a week, and then I go hop in the bobcat and then I feed, you know, Dad will be like, well, we gave that south pen 9 scoops. I've been giving the north pen, you know, 5.5, 4.5, and then the middle pen 1 or 2, or you know, however many. So then that gives me a good idea of what I need to feed them. So yeah, so we just kind of like to just go off scoops, just because we feed with the bobcat. You know, we'll just go off bucketfuls. Just makes it easier for us. Go ahead and top the bobcat off with fuel before this storm hits. So we're gonna move them calves from the south pen, our home-raised heifer calves. We're gonna move them into this pen with this long shed and windbreak for the storm. So we're putting the hay in this feeder here for them, and yeah, so they'll have a little more cover here behind this big windbreak, and then they'll have that long shed to go into too. And then we're gonna move the calves from the north pen. We're gonna move them down. We're gonna put a bale feeder in. We're gonna move them down to where we usually calve out our heifers at, and so there's more cover down there. So right now we're just kind of prepping for the storm. So we got the bale feeder. This one actually holds 2 bales. We got it set up down here, and then we got one that's just holds 1 bale right there. So we got them kind of spread out, and now I'm gonna go grab 3 bales, put 2 in this one, and then 1 in that other one with the bobcat here. Man, I'm having a terrible time today. I lost the first bale going down a little draw. Fell right off the forks. On the second bale, I was going, just cruising along, and I hit an old wood fence post, and it made the bobcat jump, and I lost that second bale too. So I'm gonna have to clean that up, put it in there, but I'll have to just go put the grapple bucket on and clean that extra scraps up. Mess all cleaned up, and this is all ready to go down here for them calves. So it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That storm is supposed to hit about 3 o'clock, so we're gonna roll out a bale for the bulls and the horses, and then we're gonna take some of this old junky hay, that stuff there, and we're gonna roll that out behind that windbreak for them calves in that south pen. And we decided we're gonna leave them calves in that south pen till the morning. So we're gonna roll out this stuff just so they can have something to lay on behind that windbreak. And then in the morning we'll move them over to that long shed place, or that long shed pen. And then they'll be in there tomorrow. So we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna move these calves in this north pen. We're gonna take them down to that pen where I put them bales in that bale feeder this morning. So they'll be down there for the storm. There's a little more cover down there, and just get these calves out of the wind, because there's really not a bunch of protection up here in this north pen. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then hopefully we'll be all buttoned up and ready for the storm. Okay, so I got everything open and everything's good to go. Move them calves in the north pen down to where we set up them into that old heifer pen where we set up them bale feeders this morning. So that's all good to go. So we're gonna go ahead and spread out some of this old hay with the bobcat behind that windbreak for them calves in the south pen, and then they'll be ready to go. The reason why we're moving this north pen of calves right now and not tomorrow is just because we got so far with them to go. We got a lot longer trek to go with them than we do that south pen of calves. All we'll have to do with them calves in the south pen is just open that gate in the morning, then they'll run over into this pen with that long shed. So those will be pretty easy to move tomorrow while there's a little bit of snow, but them other ones, it'll just be a pain to move them tomorrow with any snow on the ground. So we're gonna do it now. Well, the snow is starting. So Dad's gonna switch on to the pallet forks on the Bobcat there, and then he is gonna go roll out a bale for the bulls, and then we're gonna get ready to move them north calves down. So we got these calves moved down here. Dad finished buttoning some stuff up, feeding some stuff, and then we got that bale rolled out for the bulls, and we got that middle pen all situated. So these calves are pretty content. So I think that's just about going to do it for this video, guys. So thanks for watching. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you next time, and we'll probably have some snow on the ground.